This is so good. Oh my God, I love it so much. So, friends, I just want to take a moment to start out in a good way. And I want to, and also because my elder, Barbara Blind, said, "Are we going to start with a smudge?"
We always start with a
we
smudge.
we always do. We always do. And as we're here thinking about care, you know, and thinking about the sort of apparatuses that we're able to activate, which enable us to share care with each other, I think that there, like many cultures, have uh, embedded practices which help us to articulate this care as a relationship building, care as a sharing, care as an important part of who we can be in our community. So I'm going to start with this smudge. So I have a little smudge bowl here, um, and I have an eagle feather, as you guys can see, as you all folks can see. This I just think it's important to explain a little bit about where these things come from as well. So I want you to know that this eagle feather was given to me at the age of 16. I've been using it a long time. My uncle Dave Burrows, who was married to our auntie Diane, gave me this feather. Okay, so we're going to use this today. Um, and I have a little bit of medicine here, actually. Okay, so this is sage, right? And the person who gifted me this sage is Barbara Blind. And Barbara Blind, one of the things, the magical things that she does is she makes emergency smudge kits for people, and she gives them out whenever she can. Because when you're driving on the road, you might need a smudge. When you're in your world, you might need a smudge, and you might need an emergency smudge kit. You know, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. So I'm just going to light this up, and part of these medicines, like, and I want to, I want to articulate these things. I want to articulate and really sort of try to open up a dialogue for what these can mean, right? We're all here in Zoom land, right? But the medicine is also here too. The medicine is a being that is in Zoom land with us because we bring it, right? And you have to, the way that I was trained, um, and I have had the privilege of being around several elders, many strong, strong people. And the repeated message that I have always received from these strong elders is that you have to say the words. You have to say the words, and you have to ask the medicine for help. Yeah. So today I want to light this medicine for everyone here who is in the room with us, the Zoom room. But I also want to light the medicine for everyone who is not in the Zoom room with us. Yeah. Some of those people we can imagine, and some of those people we cannot imagine. But we still need to ask the medicine to reach out to all of those people. Those that also includes the non-human beings, the squirrels, the birds, the animals. They all need help too at times. I want to also light this medicine and ask this medicine to help the people in the world who who are experiencing grief as a result of this pandemic, who have also experienced sadness because one of their family members has passed away from COVID-19. I want to send love. I want to ask this medicine to send love and energy to George Floyd's mother and the mothers of all of the people who have been killed by cops over these past weeks, and beyond that, beyond us paying attention over the past weeks. I want to also light this medicine for all of the folks in this Zoom room who might be experiencing quarantine fatigue. I ask this medicine to send some love and care and good energy to all of us here, all of us. Um, and the thing is you say the words and you make the request of the medicine, and the medicine knows what to do. It knows how to do this job, you know? I want to also ask the medicine to send love to all of the folks who are living by themselves during this quarantine and how hard that is. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to light the medicine. Okay, I'm gonna brush it out. Okay, and then I'm going to introduce the most amazing person, Barbara Blind. And so that medicine is going to be stay lit until our conversation is over. Yes. Okay. So what I was hoping for this time is going to introduce Barb and I'm going to ask Barb some questions. One of the things that I did ask Barb previous to like just our little visit yesterday, that if she wouldn't mind sharing a little bit of Sweat Lodge 101, because some folks here in this room might not know what that is, right? Might not understand that relationship building and understand that apparatus for care. Uh, um, and I don't want to spend too much time, giving a Indigenous 101 here. So I invite you all to, figure that out for yourself. And, but just to say that there are many knowledge practices and knowledge systems for Indigenous people globally, right? And so the way that Barb talks about Sweat Lodge is from her schooling, her training, from her location. Yeah. Other people might do that differently. Tahltan people had a Sweat Lodge ceremony too, but it was only for one person at a time. It was a very different kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. So, and then just to start, after Barb and I have a little conversation, I would like to open it up so we can all talk with each other, okay? And I'll try my best to pay attention to the chat um, and bring that into the conversation as well. And so I want to take a moment to acknowledge my friend, Barbara Blind. I met Barbara Blind. I actually feel super emotional about it because I just have so much love for Barb. And I met her when I was living in Brandon, Manitoba. Lived there for 4.5 years. Barb just showed up one day and started taking my class because her friend Debbie said, "You should take this class." And I realized that Barb had so many skills and such a bright light, which just kind of shone out of her eyes. And I realized almost immediately that, yeah, I'm supposed to be teaching this class called Indigenous Studio Technologies 1. But really, Barb was teaching, and she was teaching me. That friendship and that elder relationship changed a lot, actually, over 4 years, to the point where I asked Barb to be the knowledge keeper in residence for the Visual and Aboriginal Art program at Brandon University. I also had a dream about naming getting a spirit name for the Visual and Aboriginal Art program. I asked Barb to do that with me. I gave her the tobacco as spiritual contract. Um, and now Barb is full-time knowledge keeper in residence for Brandon University and knowledge keeper full-time at the Indigenous Students Center. She also works tirelessly with a women's singing group called Sweet Medicine Singers. Sweet Medicine Singers gives their time to all of the, as far as I'm concerned, all of the events in Brandon. They show up and they sing beautiful songs, giving back. I asked Barb yesterday, how many ribbon skirts have you made and given away? And Barb said, to community members. And Barb said, I have no idea. She also trained me. She trained one of the things that Barb and I did, and this is the piece about today's conversation. So Barb and I were trying to imagine how to center Indigenous ways of being and Indigenous cultural practices in the program at Brandon University. And one of the things we did was we started out the semester with a sweat lodge ceremony for all of the students, for all of the faculty, and for all of the kids who went to residential school, and for all of the kids who didn't return from residential school because they were killed or murdered, right? And then at the end of the semester, we had another sweat lodge ceremony, and not just me and Barb. Students were welcome, faculty was welcome, community members were welcome. And so at the end of the semester, we did a sweat lodge ceremony to acknowledge the hard work of the students and the faculty, and to offer blessings for them for the work that they did. Yeah. Am I forgetting anything, Barb?
Oh, I have no idea. I forget all this stuff. I do it and it's over with. But you're just making me all teary-eyed thinking about it.
Oh, can you tell the name that you gifted to the
No,
Visual and
because
Aboriginal art?
you're one of the ones that I may go around and say to everybody. Okay, go
Yes.
ahead.
Me. Ishkabatans wasa ganaibodek. It's not bad in Anishinaabe since it's not my language. It's a second language, but
Little smoke that goes far. In English.
can you tell a little bit? Do you mind sharing about the how you came about that name?
Oh yeah, because then Peter had given me a little tobacco tie in red. I'm gonna see if I have. Okay,
It's the best
this
ever.
is a tobacco. This is a tobacco tie, but this is in gold. Like somebody must have gave it to me from the university because that's like brand new colors. So a little red in a red tobacco tie like this, and so then I was smoking it to get the name, and I thought, is there going to be enough tobacco in here to fill this pipe, to fill the pipe? And then, so then I'm really, that's what I thought. And then, so I'm filling the pipe, and then I start smoking, it filled the pipe, and then I start smoking it, and and I thought, this little smoke goes far. And I thought, is that the name? Can't be. And I thought, yep, that's the name. It just came just like, so that was the name, the little smoke that goes far. And then it was in the red, because then when I give the names, I also give colors. So that was like the colors were and it came like a formula. Red and the brown equals silver. So the red tobacco tie and the tobacco, and then when I smoked it, the silver came out. But it came as a formula: red and brown equals silver. And I thought, wow, that's the first time that ever happened. Well, yeah. So that was how it came. And I don't even remember, because we had a conversation about naming and about how, like, just, of course, we had like lots of conversations. And then, so for the department to have a name, it was like, it's a living thing, so it has to have a living name. Like it has a spirit, and it has to have a name. So because and then I don't remember who said, okay, we'll have this ceremony, but we did anyway.
It was me. It was
Yeah,
me.
it was you. And then yeah, and then we had then of course we had to have the feast, and then we have a feast every year now to acknowledge, to honor the name. So it's good. Yeah.
It's good. It's
Yeah.
good. So, Barb, can you share a little bit about Sweat Lodge 101 for folks?
Okay. One of my friends, she's not, she's a little French girl, or I've known her like years ago. And then she phoned me one time and she said, Barb, you still going to those little hot houses? She didn't know the name. But what it is, it's a little shape, a little, I don't know, shape. So it's made from willows, and then all the, like pretty well all the sweat lodges are the same. They made from willows, and then there's a pit inside the there, and then there's the fire. Some places have altar, and the thing is, it's like the stones that the grandfathers would bring them in, and so different people have different number of stones or how they're brought in. Some people have altars, and some people don't. But the main thing is that it's covered, and then it's the little stones are called grandfathers are brought in, and then we have the water that's put on there, and then when the water hits the stones, and there's steam released, but that's the medicine. So, and different people have different ways of building their lodges using different willows, um, and the same as like the number of stones, the medicine that's used in there, the songs that are sung in there. But all those are all medicines. It's the same. It's the same thing. Like, but it's but the just the same as like everybody gets dressed up in the morning, but everybody gets dressed up differently. You know, like some people put their socks on first, some people, of course, are, you know, like their top on first, or, you know, like just different people, but it's the same thing. Everything is, it's a little bit different, but it's the same, that you're coming in there. And then some people, like they bring in their pipes, or they bring in their drums. And you know, one of the girls was asking me, can I bring in my feather? And I said, no, because like you're coming in there, like it's being told, it's like going crawling into grandmother, like the mother's, not the grandmother, Mother Earth's womb. So when you're crawling in there, you come in there just bare. Well, not bare, but like we don't do bare, but like you wear your some sweat clothes. Yep. And then you come in there, and then so whatever, for some elders, some sweat lodge holders, they want to know why people are there so they can pray about it. Like, but when I go in there, I always tell the people that I'm not the one that's doing the healing. It's the spirits that come in there. The willows have a spirit. The grandfathers, the rocks that come in there, they have a spirit. All the medicines that I use in the lodge that were given to me, when I was given the lodge, they all have spirits. And then when I pick them from, I pick all the medicines that I use, that I offer tobacco to Mother Earth, and I tell her that I'm giving her this tobacco for the medicines to be used in the lodge for the people that are coming in there for healing, spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So I don't have to know why people are coming into the lodge, because I'm not the one that's doing the healing. It's the spirits that are doing the healing. So for me, it's just a place that I'm offering a place where people and the spirits can come and meet, and they can tell them what they need. So yeah. And we just finished building the sweat lodge this past on Sunday, so it's kind of still fresh in my mind. Oh, and the sweat lodge that I have, it's only in the summertime. I don't do the. It's a bear lodge, so the bears are hibernating. It's not a polar bear sweat lodge. It's, so it hybrid is the same as like when it starts to snow, then I don't then I take it down, eh? And then when the bears are coming out in the spring, and then that's when I put up the lodge. But I have to make sure like the ground is that, remember, we're putting the poles down to China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ground can't be frozen. That's what you, yeah.
Yeah.
Extra
Yeah.
work. Extra work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we built. I helped you build it. I helped you build the lodge twice, right? And
Right, yeah.
take it down. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It was good. Yeah.
It's hard work, hey. Like the life of a sweat lodge keeper is actually hard work, hey.
It is like, I don't think a lot of people realize it. It's just like, okay, because then you got to get your helpers to help build. Well, for me, to help build a lodge, there's some sweat lodge builders, that some people I know that can build a lodge by themselves, but I have like people to help, because we got to go collect the willows, we got to collect the grandfathers, we got to have the water there, we got to put the tarps on, and of course I'm not strong enough to put the tarps on by myself, so I have other people put the tarps on. And then now then during the season of when I have the sweat lodge, then I still have to go and get the stones, the grandfathers, to go and pick them, wood. Oh, remember you guys gave us all that birch from one of
Yeah,
that was good. Yeah.
yeah. We John Hampton, who was the director curator at Art Gallery of Southwestern Manitoba, was working with an artist named Corolla Gran, a Sapmi artist, and her project was to give wood to all the sweat lodges in the community. So Barb got some of that wood. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about, like, about where your sweat lodge is located too? Because it's a really important part of the story.
Okay. Right now the lodge is there's the Brandon Friendship Center rents it's city land alongside a creek just like off the Assiniboine River, and so they rent the land from the city for $1. So and we call it the East Side. And there are other people that have sweat lodges. There's three other sweat lodges. There's 4 sweat lodges altogether that are there. And then for the wood, I think it's the Friendship Center. Part of their elder program is they provide wood for the lodges.
How long have you been running a sweat lodge?
Um, okay, it was given to me 20 years ago, but I didn't put it up the first year because in Saskatchewan, where I come from, where my parents, they don't believe women should go into sweat lodges, and I've been going into one, and so then you can imagine women don't go into sweat lodges, and I'm a sweat lodge holder, so it took me a while, and I talked with other women at the same time when I went back to the camp that were given lodges, and they talked about some of the problems they had, and so we just kind of encouraged each other. So from there, when I came back from there, and then I phoned my teacher and I said, okay, I'm ready to put up the lodge. And by then I already had moved to Brandon. That was my first year in Brandon. So he came down from Winnipeg and helped me build the first lodge after a year. So it's been 19
19
years.
years.
Yeah, my grandson he was a baby because we had my family that was here, and then they made a little swing for him, like a swing, like in the bush there. So they put him in the little swing while we're building the lodge. So so I always know that's how long I had the lodge, was because he was a baby and he's 19. He's going to be 19 this year. Everything that I do, I remember is how old my grandkids are.
That's a great way to, it's a great way to keep time.
Yeah, or my kids.
Some of us keep time by how long the Zoom meetings are. So I have a question from one of our friends in the room here, and the question is about how do you receive a lodge?
Lodge. Okay, one of the things that being told is that we earn things. Like I have fasted for I don't know how many years, a lot of years. I fasted the first time for 4 years for um, 4 days, 4 nights, and for 4 years in a row. And then I helped at that Vision Quest camp. That was my uncle's Vision Quest camp in Saskatchewan. And then I met my teacher the third year that I fasted, or yeah, during that past that first. And then I went and I sundanced for 4 years. And then, but I already had, I think I sundanced for 2 years. And then I was given the lodge. And so for him, it was when my mother thanked him for giving me the lodge, he said, Evelyn, it wasn't me that gave her the lodge, it's the grandmothers.
Oh.
So it was through him that the grandmother spoke to him that I would be getting this lodge. But it's because he said I should have had this before, but I didn't do all my ceremonies that I should. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's work. It's work to get.
Oh yeah, I know. Then when my teacher phoned and well, of course he's my teacher. I used to live in Medicine Hat and he lived in Winnipeg. And then I was coming down he would have like teaching lodges twice a year, and I always came down to them. And then he said, Barbie, he's the only one that calls me Barbie. He said, Barbie, he said, Barbie, I have a present for you. And I said, no, I don't like your presents. Abilities. Yeah.
That's quite funny.
It just happened.
So I have a few other questions because I now all of a sudden I'm like this super greedy crow and I just want to answer. I want to ask all the questions I've been meaning to ask you for like 5 years. When was the first time you were in a lodge? When did that happen?
Oh, okay. So JT, my oldest grandson, is going to be 30 at the end of June. And when he was 2, so he would turn 2. He would turn 2 in June. In July, we had just come back from our holidays. We lived in Medicine Hat, and so the women there had invited an elder to come down. And then he wanted to build a lodge. And we lived on a farm outside, or just on the outskirts of Medicine Hat. So they phoned and they asked me if we could build a lodge on our land there. And I was like, I don't know. So I gave them to my husband, and they talked to him, and he said, yeah. So they came and built the lodge on our garden. And then the next day they said, we're going to come and we'll do the sweat. We'll have a sweat tomorrow. And then that night I was like, I wonder if I should go into a sweat lodge. Like, I don't know. So I dreamt I was crawling into the lodge that night. Oh. And so then I thought, okay, so I guess I have to go into the lodge. I dreamt about. So I was about 41, 42, yeah. And I didn't even know that, because I wasn't traditional. That was like the start of the year that I started being following traditional ways. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went to residential school. My family is Anglicans. We come from a long line of Anglicans, so I didn't grow up traditionally. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then one of the This was so funny. I went to, because like every year I go to culture camps, I go to medicine picking camps now because like I need to learn. And then I heard one of the stories. They said, "Oh yeah, now we have residential school elders," and I started laughing and laughing, and I thought, "Yeah, that's me."
Yes.
But then, yeah, so I didn't grow up this way, but I've traveled all over the place. Like when I first started, I traveled, like you said, like hungry for the knowledge. I would travel all over the place to go and learn.
Yeah, so for the for our friends in the room, just to also to illuminate a little bit more about how magical and radical Barb is. So she used to run marathons.
No,
You're Oh
no, no,
no.
no, no. Walk or I did a relay. Yeah, not run.
Okay, okay,
And then half
okay.
marathon, 21.1 kilometers.
That's good. Okay, okay, yeah. Said I'm writing your bio right now. So
Okay.
I need the input. So yesterday on the phone she said at this period of time I'm a medicine person, and in fall I'm an artist, and in spring I'm an athlete.
Yeah. So yeah. So now doing this Zoom and all these things, and I'm like, oh my God, this is my outside time life now, not indoors. Yeah. Like I have to making arrangements. Oh, I have a new helper. All my helpers, they help me for a year and I train them to be like my fire keepers. And then they go and move. So I have a new helper.
She's looking at me. I'm hearing you, Barb. I'm hearing you.
So I'm always training help. So I was arranging with this morning that we're going to go pick grandfathers. Yeah. And
So how many people, okay, maybe this is a silly question, so you can throw it away if you need, if you want. But I'm just curious, like, so 19 years of running a sweat lodge.
mm-hmm.
So how many people is that you have done this work for? Like, have you thought about it? I don't know, but putting a number is weird, but
No, I don't know. And how many fire keepers have I gone through? Is that what you that are all
yes,
living
yeah.
in different provinces now?
So just Barb's tough. Barb's a tough teacher. Okay, this is the other thing too. It gets hot. I mean, this for folks who have had the privilege of being inside a lodge. That's one thing, right? And that sometimes comes with invite. Sometimes comes with necessity. Like sometimes you need healing, right? And then
Everybody needs healing, not sometimes.
yeah, see, but it's hot in there. It's
Mm-hmm.
hot. How do you after all them years, like how do you put yourself through that hotness, that intense heat? It's intense.
Uh,
How do you protect yourself?
okay, well, see, but it's not me that's doing the healing.
Mm.
I'm just providing a place where people can come and meet, where the spirits and the people that need the help that come and meet. That's all I'm doing. I'm not the one so I don't have to be protected. The medicines that I use in there, they're the ones that are doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not doing, so I'm not like I don't need protect, like maybe I do, but I mean, but because of because of the medicines that I use, they're the ones that are like first we like when they come in we have okay, so I was given these medicines and I was like, okay, these are the medicine you use, this is how you use them, but I wasn't told okay, so I know their names and how to pick them, but I wasn't told how they did it.
Mm.
And just a few years ago, like one of the things that when they come in is we use cedar. We use sage too, but cedar. Then I found out that cedar it leads the way, so it protects like when you're going, like when somebody is leading the way, and so they're getting rid of the obstacles for you to go. So that's what the cedar does. So then when like before we go in, we offer tobacco and cedar to the fire to say why we're going in. And then the same as like when the grandfathers are first brought in. So we put cedar on them. So that cedar is the one that does the protecting. So that if somebody's releasing some medicine, some sickness, some illness, the cedar protects the other people that are there from whatever is being released. And I just found that out just like a couple of years ago. I was like, wow. And that's why I'm using the cedar. Like I just do I just do what my teacher told me to do. With like, trust him, he's my teacher. Yeah. And all this stuff, and I'm like, is that ever powerful? Like I was just so amazed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I've been doing it for how many years?
yeah.
Okay, chaga, that's one of the medicines that I use in there, but I didn't know that was the name of it. I just call it cedar birch toes. And then Debbie, she went down to Flint, Michigan there when we had walking with her sister.
Oh, with
No,
the
no, yeah,
yeah,
with the
yeah,
bundle.
with the bundle for walking with our sisters. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she said, Barb, I have chaga, and I was like, oh, okay, that's good because when we went to Ontario, uh, the university there.
Oh, there's many. I can't remember
With
which
Tanya.
one. Oh,
Um,
oh yes, 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 yes. Nipissing. We went to
yeah,
Nipissing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there was that one elder that was going to take us to go look for chaga. She had told us about it, how to drink it, how to use it, and all the stuff. And we're like, but then because of what the weather was, it was kind of like rainy, so we didn't go. And then when Debbie went to Flint, and she comes back and she's like, Barb, I got some chaga for us. And I was like, okay, that's good. She brought it over, and I thought, what? I've been using this for years inside the sweat lodge, and I didn't know that's what it was called. I just called it birch toes.
It's so good.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess
So
we
I'm
should.
still learning about the lodge and what it does, even though I've had it for like this many years. Yeah.
Okay, and I have one more question, and then we'll open it up to the folks in the room with us. Okay. Um, thanks, folks, for being here with us. Oh well, shit! I have two questions. Oh my god.
You just finished smudging.
It's so bad. Well, I think we should talk a little bit about our. You know, Barb and I have been working together for a while. Oh, my mom's calling. Sorry, Mom. I gotta call you in a minute. Okay. Barb and I have been working together. Like as I mentioned earlier, like she was registered to be the student, but she's actually the teacher, right? And we did this project called "Because They Are All Someone's Daughter." And this is the reason why we went to Nipissing University. You wanna talk a little bit about the project?
Project? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
with all we made rattles and wanted rep, and then we had also at the same time we had walking with our sisters. I don't know what is it called. All the vamps.
Yeah, yeah, the vamps. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's called a project memorial. So we did something in response to that, and so we made in Peter's class we made all these 50 something rattles.
Yeah, 52 hide rattles, which is
Yeah.
actually a lot of work. And if you've never made one before, but and we installed them in a circle. So the rattle was hanging down from the ceiling. Okay, and there was 52 because 52 weeks of the year. And the idea, I had had a dream about the families of the murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls, two spirits. Uh, and how do you live every day with that level of grief and loss? And so we wanted to make this project where we could send love to the families who remain here in this world. And we sang two songs. Uh, Barb and Debbie had to teach me the Strong Woman song and Anishinaabe Strong Woman song, which I am still terrible at singing. Yeah. And then the Woman's Warrior song from Lil Wat Nation in BC. But Barb did this thing, which was we fed the rattles. We made them alive using
Feast
ceremony,
them.
feasting, yeah. Which meant that it wasn't just artwork anymore, if it ever was, okay? And then we had to decide where the rattles could live after the project. So they were exhibited in, and we activated them in Brandon, Manitoba. We also took them to North Bay, Ontario. And then the rattles live with the Stolen Sisters, right? Is that right?
Sisters in spirit.
Sorry, thank you. Sisters in Spirit, which is also something Barb is involved with. So my question is, uh, as an artist and as a maker, like how do you negotiate this spiritual practice, spiritual making, with the object making?
Okay, so when we make drums, okay, so one of the things that, the beating, the rest of the stuff, I'm not that good at. Well, because you need to put a lot of practice. But drum making and rattle making, like those are the things that I've from your class that I've learned, and I'm good at it.
Yeah.
And I can teach it, because that's how you become good at something you become good at is when you can teach it. So now I teach them at like the Indigenous art techniques classes, because I'm like, every year I take the class and I do whatever projects with them, but then those two things that I teach, and then also with the Indigenous People Center. So, but when you're making them, it's just an art project. But it's when you feast them, then they become alive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
So for me, that's when they become alive. It's when we feast them. Like after we make the drums, and then we let them dry for 4 days, and then after 4 days we activate. We wake them up. So that's when we wake so that's when they become spiritual things. Other than that, they're just hide and wood.
It's a different kind of relationship, hey, after you make them alive. Help them to become alive. Yeah.
Because then you got to look after them.
Yeah.
And then if you don't look after it, like for the drums, if you don't look after the drums, they start to crack. So
Yeah.
they're alive. And then also, when sometimes some people, they get nervous when they hear the drum making a noise, and it's just like they get scared. And I'm like, yeah, it's because they want to be used. They're alive. They want to be used and sung with. Yeah. So yeah.
It's amazing. So, folks, here we are. I'm gonna not take up too much more space, but I want to open it up for folks in the room if they have questions or offerings to our conversation. I do see that there's a question here in the chat that says, can't they still be artworks when they become alive? It's a great question. What do you think, Barb?
I think for our people, well, for me, and that's one of the things I've also learned from other professors, like in the art, is that our people did everything that was so beautiful, like our beadwork. Those were like, even though they're everyday things that we use, but we still made them beautiful. So anything can be artwork. People can cook and it's artwork. Not me, but other people. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
So everything is art. When does it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because look at, even like in the churches, you think about some of those stained glass, like that's art, but
Yeah.
it's still in a sacred place. Like for some people, churches are sacred places. So, and you think about all those stand stained glass windows.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, it can be both.
I love that it can be both in this sort of, in this, you know, when you look at it with indigenous eyes, it can be both. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
It can be all of the complicated things that actually an artwork is, uh, and still be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Other folks, other thoughts, voices. Uh, there's a thing here. There's a comment that says the term work is interesting in this context. Uh, say a little more.
Work. I don't. Some stuff is work. To me, work is when you have to like toil at it really heavy. But then when you enjoy doing something, it's not work anymore. It's just something that you like doing. And it's not
Yeah.
like, to other people, maybe it is work. Like, okay, I like going out and picking grandfathers, and it's okay. So it's, they gotta pick a lot of the stones. You gotta go out in the bush, and some people do not like being out in the bush. Some people don't like being outside. They don't like lifting, and everything is like horrible about it. And I love it. So to me, it's not work, but to other people, it is. Eh? Yeah. Does that make sense? Does
I guess my question is like, there's the term artwork, like it's a thing that's made. Like an artwork is like a thing someone made, whereas like when it becomes alive, it's sort of, it feels like to describe it as an artwork is, it's sort of strange if if it's kind of existing as its own entity. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
That makes me think of artwork, like um, the idea of a medicine being an active thing, or holding space for things to occur, as being yeah, I guess work can be interpreted a number of different ways, but maybe there's a work of holding a space, or when you're constructing something, there is a kind of investment of yourself, whether it's from toiling or enjoying. There's still some investment into creating something that can move.
Makes sense.
There's a lot here too. Like when I witness and experience and contribute to Barb's sweat lodge ceremonies, there's so many. It's amazing to watch Barb doing their job, because it's like there's so many factors which need to be negotiated as well, including the fire keeper, including the getting the wood. It's never an hour. So the thing about work, right? It's never an hour. It has a lifetime before and a lifetime after. Hey, would you say, Barb?
Yeah, I know. Some people say, "How long is this going to be? How long is this sweat?" And I'm like, okay, the actual sweat part of it is not that long. It's like you go there and you sit, like for the fire, right? And then afterwards, after the actual like the sweat, like going into the lodge and coming out, and then there's also then after it's the we usually have a meal, so we have like a little feast, and then we sit around and we visit. So it's if we just took the actual sweat part of it, it's not really that long. It's all these things before and after.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
said that
So
one. You remember that one day we did 2 sweats in a row?
I just thought about that. That was so funny.
That was a long day. That was a lot of work. That was a lot of work. Uh, that was so Walking with Our Sisters came to Brandon, and Barb was one of the elder advisory council for Walking with Our Sisters. And I was helping out with the fundraising end of it. And the elders decide, help me if I'm getting this wrong, Barb, but
Grandmother,
grandmothers, thank you.
because it's a grandmother bundle.
Yeah.
Okay, now what were you going to say?
Well, part of the grandmothers had prioritized having the ceremony, a sweat lodge ceremony, right? To bring the vamps to Brandon, but also to send love to all of the families of the murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls in Two-Spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a long day. Even in that moment, like all of the factors that Barb was talking about, what I remember about that is that the earlier sweat lodge, the firekeeper didn't show up, and so the fire hadn't started, right?
Yeah.
But we still did it.
Yeah. So the elder he still had to smoke his pipe, so we're sitting in the cold sweat lodge. Oh my God.
and then there was the follow-up sweat lodge, which
Yeah,
the
yeah.
firekeeper there was done. I think we started at like 9:30 or 8:30. It was 8:30, and then I got home at midnight.
We're sitting. We're not going until we have a sweat. We came for a sweat. It is funny.
And our friend Debbie Huntinghawk was there too, and Debbie and Barb knew that I was feeling shy, so they're like, "We'll stay with you." So, folks in the room, is there any thoughts, or anybody want to? Oh, there's a thought here from Angelina. If this pandemic should go for a few more years, how and would the sweat lodge adjust to the new normal? That's a great question. Thank you for that.
Okay, so for the sweat lodge is outside. Okay, so I can only speak for myself. I can't talk about other people. And the people that like, okay, so we built the lodge on Sunday. There's like 6 people there, and so 5 people came into the lodge, because then there was the firekeeper stayed outside. So there's not like a lot of people. So I never go. Oh well, I was gonna say, I think the most that I've had in the lodge is 15 people. So I never go over the number that
Yeah.
right now that they're saying there's certain numbers. So I don't know. And then other sweat lodges I've gone into, 20 is about the most that I've had or went in with. So I don't. And then we're in a different province too. Like in Manitoba here, we're not that high, like for having COVID. So we're not that. And so like if maybe in Toronto, it's different than here. And then all the work we do is outside. and we're working with medicines. So I don't know. Does that answer? So I don't really see it. For me, I don't see me doing anything different because it's in the summertime that I do it. And I don't have like a huge number of people that come. Like I don't think I've never had over 50 people. Like maybe at feasts, but not in the like at the sweat lodge. Like all at one time, like I've had more than 50 people come, but not all at the same time. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes. I'm just reading it as a yes. So that like social distance sweat lodge. That's a whole
Well, we don't
the whole
sit
thing.
statics away from each other in the sweat lodge. It's not that big.
There's a lot of different kinds of structure too, like for sweat lodges, hey, because I was in a sweat lodge one time, and it was 28 rocks, and they put all of the 28 in at the front end. So the front end was the hottest, and then it went down from there. That was one time. That was just one time. But I love. I want to say that there's something about care here that is very important, and to see the amount of work that goes into this ceremony and this healing. You see it, right? And then when you get to hear someone who is a practitioner and a holder of a lodge and offers this healing to people in the community, and then you realize that the work that you're seeing is equal to the work that you don't see. Yeah, because it's like a Barb. Today, I think I'm learning that this is like it's a year-long process. Planning, watching seasons. Hey, like, what do you think?
Um,
Or maybe I'm just making it up.
well, okay. So for the medicines, okay, now it'll be, I don't start picking them until like, oh, maybe there's some that I got to pick in June, one of them. And then some of them then I start again, like till the fall, then I pick some in the fall. Like you have to know when to pick them. And then you got to bring them in and dry them. And then and then in the winter you prepare them. Yeah. So it's different. Yeah. And then for some of them, like, okay, I can't go there because some places now, when there's more people that are learning how to pick, and so everybody's going to the same spot. So then you got to then from working with other people that are medicine people, so then you learn. They teach. They show you different places. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if it's like a year. Maybe it's. Well, for me, it's in the summertime, and then, but preparing them, but it's in the winter. But it's not like hours and hours at a time. It's like a few hours here and there. Yeah.
There's a comment here from Ayumi. Dear Barb, your laughter entwined with knowledge is inspiring. Thank you.
Oh, that's.
I'm also seeing that we've gone. It's like you said earlier, Barb. I said somehow an hour just going to go by like that. How did that happen? How is there any more comments or questions from the folks in the room with us?
Nicole here. I just wanted to say thank you, Ahiahet Barb. I'm Navajo, and my grandmother actually held the sweat lodge for our community for probably 5 years when I was a little girl. So it's just really beautiful to hear you talk about it from a different nation and a different context. But I just want to say, Ika, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
So Barb, okay, do you want to, so Barb and I also held talking circles, and I feel real privileged to know Barb, and she has a very particular kind of way to end a meeting. You want to talk about it? You want to talk about it?
Okay, so it's about sharing. It's about giving, because a lot of time, well, for me, it's like as women, we are, and some people, they just know how to give. They don't know how to receive. So then I do the circle. Then everybody goes around. Okay, so if there's 10 people, I'm just saying 10 people. So I would go around and give everybody a hug. I am giving everybody a hug, and I come back to my place. And then the next person to me goes around and gives everybody a hug. But then when I'm standing, I'm receiving. But when I'm going around, I'm giving. So that's a balance between giving and receiving.
So Barb,
That's
how
the
do
one
you
you're
think?
talking about?
Oh yeah. I've had many hugs from strangers, thanks to Barb. But my challenge, Barb, right now is, so how do we translate that that beautiful gesture that you share at, because for folks in the room, you leave this moment giving and after receiving, you feel like a million trillion good energies. It's an important part of this work. So how do we translate that into this moment, Barb? Can we do that?
Okay, so not the last. Okay, after COVID, like not just this past full moon, but the one before. So that was the first full moon we had outside at the first. There was like, we had 15. No, Debbie was counting. She said there was 20 women that came. And normally that's how we would end. And I'm like, okay, we're outside and we are like gathered this much. And then one of the other girls, she said, what we do is now, instead of our hug, we do, I said, okay, we do a selfie. So everybody just hugs themselves. I called it a selfie. Yeah. So everybody stood there.
Okay, that is so incredible. Okay, so for the folks here in the room with us, okay, and the folks who feel comfortable turning on their camera, okay, we're gonna do with a selfie. We're gonna end our meeting today with the selfie. So if you feel comfortable sharing and turning your camera on, please do. Okay. Also, we're just gonna break all the Zoom rules. If you want to unmute yourself, unmute if you feel comfortable. Because you know what? All this beautiful, glorious laughter, like we can share that with each other. Just saying. Because I see some of you laughing. It's so good. Okay, Barb. Do we do the selfie at the same time or one at a time?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Unless you want to do one at a time. How many people do we have on here? It could be a while.
All at the same time.
There's 18 of us. So
It could be a while if we all everybody turned on their.
They're all mostly all on. You folks, you laugh if you laugh. Okay, come on, let's do it. That's so good. That's so good. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you so much, friends in the room. Thank you for joining in today. Thank you for meeting someone who is very important to me, Barbara Blind. Someone who I find I'm very inspired by. And I hope one day to be as radical as Barb Blind. I'm just saying. And also, we as we go forward, like much like this is almost like a cyber sweat lodge. I'm just saying. In the lodge, what I learned, what Barb taught me, is that you become family. Yeah. You care about each other because it's hot in there, and you're all feeling that heat together. Barb, do you have any final words or thoughts?
Oh, no, this is good. I didn't know how this was gonna turn out, and I knew we weren't just gonna talk about sweat lodges, and I knew we were gonna go way over. Yeah, this is fun.
That's so great.
Okay, yeah, thank you everybody for listening, and hope you got something from it. If you didn't, I did. I got to talk to Peter, so that's good.
Also, Barb has a Milanote. Go check her out. Go connect with her. Jevi taught Barb and me how to use Milanote. So there you go. Thanks to everyone being present. Thanks to all the organizing team. Thanks to all the ancestors. And thanks to all of you. Have a beautiful day.